There comes a moment in your life when you realize you've given too much of yourself to people who never deserved even a fraction of your energy. You were always there, answering every call, showing up every time, fixing what others broke. And what did it cost you? Your peace, your confidence, your fire. The truth is, being too available makes you invisible. People start to treat your presence like background noise, always there, never appreciated. But the day you decide to walk away, to stop explaining, to stop proving, to stop chasing, everything changes. You start to see who truly values you. You start to feel your power again. Silence becomes your new strength, distance your new language, and peace your new success. You learn that saying no isn't rude, it's self-respect. The world begins to move differently when your energy is no longer free. And those who once took you for granted will feel your absence louder than your presence ever was. Your absence speaks louder than your presence. There's something powerful about silence, the kind that follows your decision to walk away. When you've spent years being available, people start to expect you'll always be there. They begin to rely on your energy, your comfort, your consistency, without realizing that each time they take, a part of you fades. But when you finally step back, when you stop picking up the phone, stop replying instantly, stop showing up for people who wouldn't do the same, that's when they notice. They start to feel the void your presence once filled. The same people who overlooked you now replay every word, every moment, wondering what changed. It's not revenge, it's revelation. Your absence becomes a mirror that shows them the truth they refused to see when you were standing right in front of them. Your absence carries weight because it exposes what people took for granted. When you were always around, your kindness was mistaken for weakness, your loyalty for obligation, and your availability for neediness. They thought you had no choice but to stay. But when you step away, you remind them that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. Suddenly, the laughter you brought, the peace you gave, the energy you shared, all of it becomes noticeable in its absence. They start to understand that you were the one adding light to the room, stability to their chaos, and meaning to their days. It's in your distance that people learn the real value of your presence. There's a strange kind of silence that follows when you decide to protect your peace. It's not the silence of loneliness, it's the sound of boundaries forming. At first, you'll feel the pull to go back, to explain yourself, to make people understand why you left. But with time, you'll realize that your absence speaks perfectly. You don't need to justify peace. You don't need to beg to be respected. The people who truly care will reach out, not because they miss your usefulness, but because they miss you. The others, the ones who only loved your convenience, will fade away. And that's exactly how you reclaim your strength. When you stop being available, people start to feel the emotional cost of losing you. They realize the quiet is heavier than they expected. The unanswered messages sting harder than they imagined. The lack of your attention becomes a discomfort they can't ignore. It's not cruelty, it's consequence. You taught them what real loyalty looks like, and now they see how rare it is. Your absence becomes a lesson in gratitude, one that words could never teach. Because when you were there, they felt secure. When you're gone, they feel empty. That shift changes everything. It reminds them that presence is not something to waste. And genuine souls don't stay where they're unappreciated. Your absence is not punishment, it's power. It's the space where self-respect grows. When you decide to distance yourself from people who drain your energy, you begin to rise emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You stop seeking validation from those who never saw your worth and start building value within yourself. The peace that comes from solitude is different. It's grounding. It gives you time to breathe, to reflect, to remember who you are without the noise of others. You start to see clearly who added to your life and who only took from it. The longer you stay away from chaos, the more you realize peace was all you ever needed. It's often said that distance reveals truth, and it's true. The moment you step back, you see people's real intentions. The ones who truly care will bridge the gap, while the ones who never valued you will let the silence continue. And that's how you learn who deserves to be close. Absence filters out the fake connections that presence once disguised. It separates those who are around for benefit from those who are there out of love. You stop chasing, you stop explaining, and suddenly you attract better energy. The power of absence is that it doesn't demand, it defines. It quietly shows who's willing to meet you halfway and who is only there for the convenience of your effort. In the end, your absence becomes your loudest statement of self-worth. You stop being the one who fills everyone else's emptiness and start filling your own. You stop being accessible to chaos and start choosing peace over popularity, solitude over superficial connections, respect over recognition. The people who once thought you were easy to reach will begin to realize how difficult it is to replace you, and maybe they'll never say it aloud, but deep down they'll know losing you was their biggest mistake. Because your absence doesn't just remove your presence from their lives, it removes the comfort, the safety, the inspiration that came with it. Your silence becomes your strength, and your distance becomes your declaration that you will never again be taken for granted. Boundaries are the real form of self-love. There comes a point in life when you realize that love isn't always about giving more. Sometimes it's about saying no. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that open only for those who respect you enough to knock. For too long, you may have believed that being kind means always being available, always saying yes, always understanding others, even when they misunderstand you. But love without limits becomes self-destruction. When you start setting boundaries, you reclaim control over your peace, your energy, and your time. You stop letting people walk over you, and you begin walking toward yourself. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sacred. They protect your growth, your heart, and your purpose. You start realizing that real self-love isn't found in how much you give to others. It's found in how much you protect yourself while giving. When you start setting boundaries, the world begins to show its true colors. Some people will respect them and others will resist them because boundaries disrupt comfort zones. Those who benefited from your lack of limits will call you distant, cold, or selfish. But what they're really saying is you're no longer easy to use. And that's exactly what growth feels like. Uncomfortable, but freeing. Setting boundaries teaches others how to treat you, but more importantly, it teaches you how to value yourself. You realize that not everyone deserves access to your energy, and not every situation requires your response. The more you say no to the things that drain you, the more space you create for peace, creativity, and love that actually heals. Boundaries are a reflection of emotional maturity. They show that you've learned to differentiate between helping others and harming yourself in the process. You start to understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and constantly saying yes to everyone else often means saying no to yourself. Real strength is not found in endless giving. It's found in the courage to stop when your soul feels tired. It's understanding that your mental health matters more than keeping others comfortable. People who truly care will never make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. They'll understand that boundaries are a form of respect, both for you and for them, because when you take care of yourself first, you have more to give from a place of love instead of exhaustion. Many people mistake boundaries for rejection, but they are the highest form of honesty. You're not pushing people away, you're defining the space where respect can exist. When you create boundaries, you're saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. It's a declaration of worth, not an act of defense. You begin to attract people who understand balance, those who match your effort instead of draining it. Boundaries act like filters. They remove chaos and invite calmness. They make your life quieter, but clearer. When you live without boundaries, you lose yourself in trying to please everyone else. But when you live with them, you start finding the version of you that was buried beneath all the noise, expectations, and demands. There's freedom in realizing you don't owe everyone your time. Your attention is a privilege, not a promise. When you start drawing the line, you stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You no longer explain why you didn't respond instantly or why you chose peace over confrontation. You realize that boundaries are not meant to shut people out. They're meant to keep your spirit intact. The moment you stop chasing approval, you start living with authenticity. You become unshakable because you no longer need validation from those who can't understand your worth. And that's what real confidence looks like. Peace that doesn't require permission. The beautiful thing about boundaries is that they help you see who belongs in your life. When you set limits, people reveal their intentions. The ones who care will adjust. The ones who only wanted to take will disappear. And as painful as that feels, it's also liberating. Because every person who leaves when you start respecting yourself was never meant to stay. Boundaries are not just about keeping negativity out. They're about creating space for people who truly love, respect, and uplift you. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace and start feeling grateful for the strength it takes to do so. Over time, your boundaries become your standard, and your standard becomes your peace. Boundaries transform the way you live, love, and grow. They shift your focus from pleasing others to honoring yourself. You stop begging for respect because your silence now commands it. You begin to understand that saying no is not rejection. It's redirection toward the life, the people, and the energy that truly align with you. Boundaries are a declaration that your time, your heart, and your peace are valuable. You start loving yourself, not in words, but in action, by showing up for yourself the same way you once showed up for everyone else. The moment you create space between what drains you and what fuels you, you begin to see the power of self-love in its truest form, and that power changes everything. Your energy is your currency. Spend it wisely. Everything you do, every thought you think, every emotion you feel, it all costs energy. Your energy is your life's currency, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. Some people waste their energy on proving their worth to those who'll never see it, chasing validation from those who'll never give it, or fighting battles that don't deserve their time. The truth is, you don't have unlimited energy. Every day, you wake up with a certain amount, and what you invested in decides whether you feel empowered or empty by the end of the day. When you start treating your energy like money, you stop spending it on things that don't serve you. You start saving it for what truly matters, your goals, your peace, and your growth. Because once your energy is gone, you can't buy it back. People often think success is about working harder, but real success is about managing energy smarter. You can have all the time in the world, but if your energy is drained, nothing meaningful will grow from it. That's why it's crucial to notice what and who drains you. Every toxic conversation, every forced relationship, every negative thought takes something from your emotional account. The more you allow, the more bankrupt you become internally. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being selective about who and what deserves your attention. Because not everyone deserves access to your inner world, and not every situation is worth your reaction. Once you learn to walk away from what costs your peace, you begin to profit in power. Energy is not just about motivation, it's the invisible force that shapes your life. When you give it freely to people who only take, you start losing your spark. You begin to feel tired for no reason, uninspired, detached from your dreams. That's what happens when your energy is misplaced. The truth is, not everyone will understand your silence, your distance, or your focus. But that's okay, because you're no longer operating from emotion, you're operating from intention. When you stop giving away your energy to every distraction, you begin to notice how much stronger your focus becomes. Suddenly, your goals seem clearer, your mind sharper, and your purpose louder. Energy flows where attention goes, and when your attention is disciplined, your life becomes powerful. When you understand your energy is valuable, you stop over-explaining, over-giving, and over-committing. You stop showing up in places where your spirit feels small. You realize that your energy defines the quality of your relationships, your work, and your happiness. If you constantly give to those who only take, you'll never have enough left for yourself. So you learn to give without draining, to help without losing balance, and to love without losing yourself. You start aligning your energy with people who reciprocate, not just consume, because the truth is, energy exchange defines connection. Real connections give as much as they take. When the flow is mutual, you grow. When it's one-sided, you shrink. Your energy is magnetic. It attracts people, situations, and opportunities that match your frequency. When you live in negativity, you draw in chaos. When you radiate calm, you attract peace. That's why guarding your energy is not just emotional, it's spiritual. Every word you speak, every environment you enter, every thought you entertain either feeds or drains your vibration. The moment you decide to be intentional with your energy, life begins to shift. You no longer chase people or force outcomes. You attract what aligns with your energy. The more disciplined you become with your inner world, the more effortlessly your outer world reflects it. Protecting your energy is not a trend. It's a lifestyle that builds power from within. You'll notice that once you stop wasting energy on meaningless drama, your peace grows stronger. You'll start finding joy in quiet mornings, simple achievements, and genuine connections. You'll realize that every time you choose peace over conflict, you're saving energy, and that saved energy becomes creativity, strength, and clarity. People will call you distant or changed, but that's because they can no longer feed off your emotional attention. You've learned to redirect your energy inward toward healing, discipline, and vision. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You begin to understand that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of energy wisely spent. That's when life starts to feel lighter, calmer, and more aligned with your purpose. Managing your energy is the art of mastering yourself. It's learning that not every invitation deserves your yes, not every argument deserves your voice, and not every person deserves your access. It's realizing that energy once wasted takes time to rebuild, and protecting it is the ultimate act of self-respect. You stop living on emotional autopilot and start living with purpose. Every decision becomes an investment. Every silence becomes strength. Every boundary becomes wealth. Your energy is your currency, and how you spend it decides your legacy. Some will spend it proving, others will spend it pleasing, but the wise will spend it building peace, purpose, and power. And in that discipline, you discover that the richest people in the world are not those with money, but those with unshakable energy. And when you finally stop being available for everyone and everything that drains you, your life begins to transform in ways you never imagined. You start realizing that silence holds more power than explanation, and distance often speaks louder than words. The absence you create becomes your greatest teacher, revealing who values you and who only valued your convenience. You learn that boundaries are not barriers, but bridges that lead you back to yourself. They become a declaration of your worth, a reminder that your energy, time, and love are not for everyone. They are for those who respect and reciprocate them. Your energy becomes your most sacred currency, and once you understand its value, you stop wasting it on people, places, and thoughts that don't feed your soul. You stop fighting to be understood and start living to be at peace. You realize that protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. It's what keeps your spirit alive, your focus sharp, and your heart strong. And as you grow stronger in your silence, firmer in your boundaries, and wiser in your energy, life begins to align. The right people stay, the wrong ones fade, and your peace becomes your greatest achievement. You no longer chase what's not meant for you because you finally understand your worth. You're not cold, you're calm. You're not distant, you're discerning. You're not unavailable, you're evolved. So protect your space, guard your peace, and remember, when you stop being available to what breaks you, you become available to what builds you. Thank you for listening. Stay strong, stay grounded, and as always, may God bless you.